everyone, we are group number 2. Our title for today's video is Extraction and Processing involved in palm kernel oil. Palm kernel oil is obtained from the seed or kernel of palm oil. It involves the resection of fresh fruit branches from the plantation, sterilizing and threshing of the branches to free the palm fruit, washing the fruit and pressing of the crude palm oil. The crude oil is further purified and dried for storage and
bunch reception. Fresh fruit bunch newly arrived will be weighted using scale or weighted ridge. The quality standard achieved by depending on the quality of bunch arrived at the mill.
Threshing, removal of the fruit from the bunch.
Sterilization means the use of high temperature wet heat treatment of loose fruit. The steam will produce moisture and acts chemically to break down gums and resins. Digestion, the process of releasing the palm oil in the fruit through the rupture or breaking down of the oil-bearing cells.
After that is presses. There are two methods extracting oil from the digesting material, which are dry method by using mechanical presses, and the other one is called wet method, uses water to infuse out the oil. Presses may be designed for batch or continuous operations. In batch operation, material is placed in a heavy metal cage and the metal branch is used to press the material. But in continuous system, the digested fruit is continuously conveyed to the cage towards an outlet restricted by a.
There are some extraction methods of palm kernel oil that can be paid attention to. Let's go through it. Here we have 3 types of extraction methods that I will explain more in detail later. Mechanical extractions. In these steps, the palm kernel should be cleaned, reduced in size, flaked, and steamed before it has been screw pressed. Pressing the bone is cooled with circulating water to prevent affecting the quality of oils and cakes. Solvent extractions. It uses a chemical solvents to extract oils. The pre-conditioned palm kernel is sent into the solvent extraction lines where the oil extraction process of the palm kernels occurs. Pre-pressed solvent extractions is the combinations of the partial pressing process of palm kernels and direct solvent extractions. The pre-pressing process extracts a small amount of oils and produce byproducts called pre-pressed cake, where the rest of the oil content in it will be extracted in the direct solvent extraction process.
The next step is clarification and draining of oil. The main part of clarification is to separate the oil from its impurity by using septic tank and decanters. Reheating the decanter oil to remove any residual moisture. Next is oil storage. In large-scale mill, the purified and dried oil is transferred to a tank for storage, while small-scale mills simply pack the dried oil in the used drum and store the drum and bin.
My name is Siti and I will be explaining on the kernel recovery process. Here is the kernel recovery plant flow, where we know that during the pressing process in the extraction process of the kernel oil, there will be a residue, or so-called byproduct from this process, which contains palm fiber and nuts. The palm fiber and nuts will undergo the kernel recovery process. In this process, there are another specific processes such as separation, drying, cracking, separation again, and lastly is storage. In the first of separation process, both palm fiber and nuts will be separated in the debris carpet, which an air separator column, as the fiber is light in weight. Therefore, it will be carried away by the air flow to the steam boiler by fiber conveyor to be burned as biomass fuel. The nuts will enter the polishing drum to separate the nuts from the shell and then undergo further processes such as drying, cracking, and separation. These are the further processes for the nuts, where it will go for drying process first in the nut silo, then cracking process in ripple mill and crack mixture conveyor. Next, the kernel grading drum, winnowing column, and hydrocyclone for separation process. Then it will undergo drying process again in the kernel silo. Lastly is storage in the kernel bunker. Here are the purposes of each process or machine used. First, the nut silo, where the nuts will be dried by reducing the moisture of the nuts before go to ripple mill. Next, in cracking process, the ripple mill is used, where it will crack the nut for separation of nuts and shell. Then it will enter the crack mixture conveyor, where it transports the mixture of kernel and shell for winnowing and then sent to hydrocyclone pump. Kernel grading drum is used to grade the kernel according to the size, but its main function is to filter out the stone and uncracked nut. In winnowing column, it separates the shell and the kernel by flowing air current. It consists 2 stages in this process, where hydrocyclone, it separates the kernel and shell by applying centrifugal force to the mixture in water to separate the component with different weight, the kernel silo, where hot air will be blown in it and the steam will be flowing through the heat the air. Lastly, after drying process, the kernel will be sent to the kernel bunker to be stored. Palm kernel oil contains 3 processes in order to produce the kernel oil. However, throughout this process, the rate of FFA, which is free fatty acid, must always be controlled, such as maintaining moisture of kernel below 7% and avoid high breakage of kernel during cracking process. And at the right side are the list of references for this whole video. Thank you.